Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Animatry here, talking about a Yu-Gi-Oh video. I know it's weird, but I want to fix Yu-Gi-Oh, and I don't think there's anything like terribly wrong with it. This is just an issue that I have. I think that would make the game more competitive. And as an older Yu-Gi-Oh player, yes, I know I have some sort of bias. And by the way, I've been playing on the Master Duel, which I've noticed this for the top decks now that I actually get to play the top decks with locals. You might play the top decks, you might play something that's more fun. But seeing the competitive side, I have major issues with the card game. Not so much that it needs a rotation, because I know a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh community wants a card rotation. I don't think it needs a, like, 5 sets like Pokemon, but I do think it needs to worry about in the future how it creates cards. And I have a few cards up here, and I'm going to read some of them. Let's start with the lovely Labyrinth of Silver Castle. If anyone hasn't heard of this card, it's a 2,900 attack point, which is about a third of your life points. And even though it's an 8-star, which are like, well, normally that means you need 2 sacrifices. There's the decks, Yu-Gi-Oh! Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks rotate so much, and what I mean by that is like I can have 5 cards in my hand, and I activate something that special summons a card, and then brings something else from my deck, and it completely goes in a circle. So with the whole idea of the star system was supposed to stop this from, like, the more powerful monsters are supposed to be the higher stars. That's not the case, and that's been with Yu-Gi-Oh for a while. But yeah, this card's effect is a fiend effect. It says your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to the activation of your normal trap cards. You can only use each of the effects of lovely Labyrinth of the Silver Castle once per turn. You can target which first effect is you can target one normal trap in your graveyard, set it to the field, but it cannot be activated unless you control a fiend. You control a fiend right there. She's a fiend. So why is that not? I don't understand why they didn't just sit there and go like, hey, she's not a fiend, because why would you have a card that activates the special with why would they add that? That text just kind of rubs me the wrong way, especially because of the power of it. It's a let's call it 3,000. So that's what it was 3 attacks, 3 monsters, and you can kill you. And it has this kind of strong thing to it. Well, I shouldn't say kill, but you know what I mean. End turn. Not that I care about monetization. It was the next effect is if another monster leaves the field by a normal trap effect, except during damage step, you can destroy 1 card in your opponent's hand at random or on the field. So, you activate normal traps that you set to destroy your monsters. That way you can -1 of your opponent, which is great. You can have that -1, but why is it on a $3,000 attack monster? You have to choose, which I've been a big person with. It was if a card has 500 attack, I think it should have like all that effects. That's a great thing for something that's like 500 attack. For a card that is 3,000, I think it should have less. So I think like under 1,000, it could have 3 effects. 1,000 to 2,000, maybe 2 effects. 3,000 attack more, maybe an effect once per turn, and then 4,000 plus really shouldn't have effects. It should be basically a normal vanilla monster. But that's just me. Next cards I want to talk about is the Flow Dance Febreze. I call it Febreze. And it's the Emperor Penguin. Again, it's a 10-star, which sounds strong until you realize, nope, not that strong. Not that requirement is playable because every deck. Nobody plays old school Yu-Gi-Oh! And when I say old school Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean like they show in the anime. It's not a bunch of random cards. It was modern Yu-Gi-Oh! You are creating strategies where a 40 card deck is not a whole lot. And so what does this card do? Well, it's 2,700 again, close to 3,000, so about a third of your life points. It says if this card is tribute summoned, which again sounds great until you realize Febreze, they basically it was normal summon an additional time every time. So if I play one, I can immediately attribute it for this card. And thanks to rotation, I always have it in my deck. It was you can add another floor dance spree. I don't know. Spell or trap from your deck to the hand immediately after this effect resolves. You can normal summon one monster. So you're normal summoning on my turn if you activate cards that allow you to push that. And that's my problem is when I'm facing this card, or if I am that card, why am I allowed to summon 20 times on their turn? Shouldn't I only be allowed to summon once, maybe twice? Um, and I honestly think that with cards like this, I say is another option that could be a way to change the meta would be to add a you can only activate 10 cards per turn. Maybe even less, depending on how play style or more even, but you can only activate 10 effects. That way you're not completely destroying somebody. It was, and it would also get rid of your OTK problem, but I don't think that's a big thing in the tournament, so I don't think they really care that much about OTKs. But yeah, your opponent cannot activate effects of special summon monsters that they control in attack position once per turn during the damage calculation. If this card battles an opponent's monster, and this is a quick effect, you can banish one card from your hand. Again, hand is nothing thanks to rotation. That opponent's current attack and defense becomes half until the end phase. Again, thanks to rotation, this is not a thing that's major. Or I should say, it's not the cost does not add up, especially for a 2,700 attack. So if they have a 5,000, it was monster that immediately turns to 2,500. It can be beat by this, and you lose, and your opponent loses 200 life points. So it has all these extra effects. Again, why? Next one is the tier limits. I just call them tiers because I'm crying the whole time. I'm facing off against these, or I am playing this because it is one of those things. I tried it out. I was like, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. And this whole deck is a special summon deck, but I'm going to read to you which it does a lot of fusion summonings. It is the Heart. Pyramid Colado Heart. I'm not good with Japanese, and I'm definitely not good when they translate it, but they don't really translate it, so I am so sorry. And I can't really explain it away. It was, and this is again a 3,000 attack point. One monster, and it says it cannot be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, or if an aqua monster is sent to the graveyard by a card effect while this card is on the field, you can target one. You can target one card your opponent controls, shuffle it into the deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a special effect, you can special summon. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon this monster. And if you do, send one tournament card from the deck to the graveyard. Again, the deck doesn't matter anymore. It used to back, and I'm not saying back in the day, because obviously with tournament scenes, it's always been an issue with rotating decks. But it's why is it out of the graveyard? Why is it not out of the hand? Why is it not out of the extra deck? Also, why does a 3,000 have this effect where it can blow itself up and then immediately summon itself back? Oh, and that's again that I didn't put him on here. The Destiny hero. It was I can't remember his name now. But yeah, it was he does the same thing. It's like he blows himself up and then he's right back and he's like a 2700. Why? Why do they have all these effects? Branded again. If anyone doesn't know, the Ice Blade Dragons of 3000 attack, and basically, if it's destroyed, it leaves the opponent's because of an opponent's field effect. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls during the end phase of this turn, and it, it fusion summons basically everywhere. A fusion summoning without real cost, and because cost with fusion summoning you're supposed to put the cards in the graveyard. Well, thanks to a lot of the branded fusion cards, you immediately rotate them right back into the deck, shuffle it. So there was no cost, especially when the deck is basically just there to kind of have off to the side. You basically have access to 90% of a deck in top tier cards, not like, having fun with your friends. So your Sword Soul, again, this thing's a 3000 attack, and it's pretty easy. It's the I cannot say that. You guys will know the Sword Soul Supreme. Basically, it can negate. It gains 100 attack and defense for banish. It's a 3000 attack monster. Um, yeah, it was the banish thing is not that bad. I would not say the banish part of that effect is messed up, but the fact that it's a 3000 and it can negate. And it's I don't even think it's once per turn. Yeah. And a lot of these cards, like they say once per turn, but there's a term in Yu-Gi-Oh called soft ones per turn or hard ones per turn. And that is definitely an issue. Sprites again. This card can summon on my opponent's turn and they have negates. Again, not a problem per se with a single card, but it's the whole deck as a structure basically destroys itself, or not itself, the card. It destroys other level twos, brings back level twos immediately. So it nullifies. Like I've had Charmer decks that I love to play for fun, but I'm just trying to gain some points because I don't want to spend money on this, and I will have a whole hand, a 5 card hand first turn, and I will go through everything but one card in my hand, and so that's 4 cards, maybe even 5 if I get the draw, and I can't do anything with it. That all those were negated just to get that one thing. It probably would have negated that second one if that 5th card does anything. And then the final one is Runics. If anyone doesn't know Runics, these are not so bad per se, but again, the deck is a rotating problem with Yu-Gi-Oh. So it's like there are how many spells? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 spells. I'd say about 9 of them are actually used in a lot of the top decks, but 10 spells times 3 is 30. That's 3/4 of a deck. I mean, and even if you take away the extra 3, and it's only 27 again. So, and the problem is Fountain. The Fountain lets go, and I'm talking about I think there's technically 8 quick plays that they actually use, but the Fountain, it was recycles up to 3 of the runic quick play spells into your deck, shuffles them, puts them in any order in your deck in any order, and then you draw the same amount. Again, that sounds great in theory. It's like, oh, you don't get them immediately, but the fact that you shuffle them back in, and then they're once per turn, you can use them whenever you want. Why? Why do they have such weird rules with these? This deck, I don't think my solutions can fix, but I am irritated that they have created decks like these when I think modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yu-Gi-Oh! In general, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Altogether has this problem. What they do is when they release a new deck that they want to make that's their meta, they make it super powerful to destroy the last super powerful, so this can be the main deck. which is cool, but now you have an even stronger deck, which you have to keep the meta going and keeping this card game going and people buying new packs. You now have to create an even more powerful deck than that, and then after that, even more powerful, more powerful, more powerful. It constantly is in a cycle, which sounds like it's like, oh, then just get the new cards. It was, and that's what they're trying to do is get new cards into it. But I think that the problem's going to come along when you can, and we're already seeing this in Master Duel. I can sit there and watch like 3 YouTube videos on the side while playing this. Or if you're a local, you're just sitting there waiting for your opponent, which could be a 10-minute thing of them, you know, and they've tried to even add the clock, which they've had the clock for years now. The clock's very important, but they continue to do this, and there's rotating to the point where I think it's getting ridiculous, and I think there needs to be a change. And while I don't agree with the set rotations, I do think that they need to worry about how do we fix the game with the cards themselves and not make everything so powerful. Thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you guys like, favorite, subscribe, what I don't know what to call it. I'm not really trying to get a ton of YouTube follows anymore. I'm trying to make a career, but just trying to make videos and communicate with people. Well, how do you think that they could fix this modern Yu-Gi-Oh problem? Or even Yu-Gi-Oh in general? How do you think you can fix the meta? Thanks for watching.